Hello people, Dr. Wang is here recording. In this chapter 8, we are going to address how to do accounting with your cash, especially for petty cash and miscellaneous spendings. And also I will address the internal control problems within a company's financial system and also the possible crimes and frauds in accounting. So for our learning objectives, these are control and identify the purpose and principles, and also define cash and equivalents. And then we also need to calculate sales uncollected ratio and so on. So what is an internal control and what's the purpose of it? So basically, internal control system implies policies and procedures the manager use to protect assets, ensure reliable accounting, all right? So they protect assets, just make sure no one steal money from them. And also ensure reliable accounting is to make sure the information is accurate and up to date. And also the control is to uphold the company policies, to have an integrity of the applications of all the policies, and also promote efficient operations. Since 2002, the U.S. Congress have passed the bill, or Sarbanes-Oxley Act, and this act requires managers and auditors of public companies to document and certify the system internal controls. So that basically means that the company needs to check their financials, all the information, make sure they apply the right strategy and right procedural to control internally, and make sure there's limited fraud opportunities for the bad guys. And the one section in the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, or SOX, requires that managers document and assess the effectiveness of all internal control processes that can impact financial reporting. All right, so these are the principles we need to follow for internal control. So we need to establish responsibilities. Let's say if the CFO cook the book and give a false information, then the CFO will be in jail, and also the CEO will go to jail with him. So that's one of the responsibilities. And of course, maintain adequate records. That means evidence. And there's also asset insurance and bond key employees. Make sure if any bad things happen, they will be responsible for it. And also do a separate record keeping from custody of assets. So if you do a record keeping separate, so there's very less opportunities for the accountants to collaborate with each other and develop some bad plans together against the company. And also you need to divide responsibilities for related transactions. So make sure each person's responsibility is clear and reasonable, and also apply technological controls. Use computer power to do all the monitoring system to detect any deviation from regular operations, and also perform regular and independent reviews. So usually you can hire a third party to, actually not third party, that would be called external control. You just need to hire a third, another employment team as internal auditor to check all this kind of work. All right, so technology, fraud, internal control. So basically when you use a technology, the purpose is to reduce the processing errors and also limited evidence for processing. And the reason behind is increased e-commerce, and also the new management system requires to separate the duties of different personnels, and then we need to do more extensive testing of the records. And there's also limitations of internal control. There could be human error, there could be human fraud. So error and fraud are different things. Error comes from negligence, fatigue, misjudgment, and confusion. So there's no bad intention behind this. But for human fraud, there's always bad intention or even evil intention to defeat the internal control for personal gains. And the criminology theory suggests that when human did a fraud, there's three threats. Okay, we call it triple threats. So there's an opportunity for them to do the fraud. So basically, they are accountants. They get access to a company's cash. So there's a possibility. for them to get the cash away to their own home. And also there's pressure. So either they have a very lavish lifestyle that is a lot of money, or they have their partners are very money hungry, or their family is under huge financial distress. So this would pose pressure for frauds. And also the third component is rationalization. So they basically are thinking what they do is right. They may think, okay, today just to get a $1,000 out of the company's pocket, then tomorrow I will return it back. So they don't think what they did is wrong. They find all the ways to justify and rationalize what they did. So if we impose internal controls, well, for the companies, it's always profit seeking. They always have to make sure the cost of the internal control does not exceed their benefits. Okay, so that basically put a limit to this internal control. So in the United States, 5% of the companies, the corporations, are victim of a human fraud. So that's something you can know.